All right, hello everyone. This is Dr. Shiva Ayadure. It is 10 p.m. on Saturday. We had a very long day today, and I'll tell you what we did today. I also want to introduce a good friend of mine, Jerry Payne over here. Jerry's also joining us today, and Jerry's from Texas, and he's visiting us today, but he's actually lives in Massachusetts now. We have a couple of things we're going to talk about, and we'll wait as people are coming in. We're going to review a little bit. Everyone's been asking me to talk a little bit about the election fraud item, but we're also going to go through and we're going to talk about a couple of the other things. We're going to talk about, as we're getting ready to a conference that we have coming up, which I'll talk about on November 11th. It's going to be the first international symposium on masks and oral health. So that's on November 11th. You'll see an ad coming up either later tonight or tomorrow. But as you know, I'm a full-time scientist and I work with a lot of great people. And we've been really researching oral health for many, many years, probably about the last 3 or 4 years. We've been doing a lot of molecular systems analysis. So on November 11th, which is Wednesday, right? Wednesday, Veterans Day, a lot of people will be home. We're going to do it between 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. There's going to be an international symposium, which the International Center for Integrative Systems, which is a research and education foundation, is going to be hosting in Cambridge, but it's going to be on Zoom so everyone can join worldwide on masks and oral health. It's an international symposium looking on masks and oral health. So as a part of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just talk a little bit about, to give you a prelude, a little teaser about the interconnection between oral health and immune health. Yesterday, I gave a deep talk, if you want to go look at my Twitter feed or on Facebook or YouTube, etc., on the immune system, the modern theory of the immune system. And it was basically a consolidation of a talk that I gave back in November at the National Science Foundation. Yeah, I was asked to give the prestige talk, but it's great to have people joining in. Before I gave that today, before I give that talk today, I just want to comment on something that we talked about earlier, a tweet that I put out, as some of you may have seen. The tweet really said that President Trump should ask for the ballot images. And it's quite extraordinary that neither the Republican GOP party or the people at the White House are informing the president about this. If he really wants to ensure election integrity, as I've talked about, when an election takes place, people are literally taking a ballot, especially when it's machine counted, and they put it through the ballot scanners, and the ballot scanners generate something called a ballot image, okay? What is counted is the actual ballot image. It's not the ballots are counted, okay? So in the machine counted areas, which is pretty much in most of these states now, at least 80% are still machine counted now. The ballot goes through the scanner. Your vote, that scanning creates an image no different than a photo, and that photo is what is counted. And at the time of counting, in the software, there is a feature called a weighted race feature, which I've talked about before, which allows people's votes to be weighted. So if candidate A got 1,000 votes and candidate B got 1,000 votes, the systems at the time of those machine tabulations can multiply candidate A's votes by a decimal, like 2.5. So giving them 2,500 votes, and multiply candidates B votes by 0.5, reducing their votes by a half to get 500 votes. So the total, which would have been 1,000, which would have been 2,000 people voted, which would have generated 2,000 ballot images. Now you have 3,000 or 2,500 here and 500 here, 3,000. So the ballot images are critical to get because you can validate the actual votes cast with the ballot images. What they typically do is they take the ballots and they hide them somewhere and they seal them. But the ballot images are very quickly to get. They're stored, okay? And what we found out in Massachusetts, the way we found this out is everyone knows election fraud took place. Everyone knows I won the primary. This other fool who the GOP establishment found was nowhere to be found. We won, we believe, easily by 250,000 votes to 100,000 votes in the Republican primary. And what they did was they flipped the votes, and we have evidence on it. We're going to be bringing it out. Many of you know I filed a lawsuit in federal court enjoining, exposing, because when I shared all this, the Secretary of State contacted Twitter. That's why I was off Twitter for nearly 21 days, most of my campaign, because the Secretary of State, not Twitter, had me taken off. That's violation of the First Amendment. And we successfully argued in federal court, this is a precedent-setting case, that the judge told the Secretary of State, you cannot contact Twitter to throw Dr. Shiva off. You cannot talk to the National Association of State Directors. And if you disagree with Dr. Shiva, you go on Twitter and argue it out. So it's a major win, and we have another lawsuit coming out. But the important point is our movement for truth, freedom, and health is the one that has been really fighting right now in Massachusetts, this ballot image issue, and we're making it aware to everyone else. So to all of you listening out there, I've been a software developer since I was 14 years old. I know how software works. And when I discovered that our votes are not stored as whole numbers, they're stored as decimals, and this weighted race feature is there, that's when I connect the dots, and I realized within microseconds, they can flip any election. This is why Joe Biden wasn't even campaigning. He doesn't have to campaign, okay? Candidates no longer have to campaign. No. They can flip the votes, and they probably looked at me and Jerry and all of our people who were out there campaigning and made fun of us. They said, look at those guys campaigning. We don't have to campaign. So keep an eye out, because we filed another major lawsuit, which is part of our lawsuit. We won our TRO, and we're setting precedents, but we're coming at it from a technology standpoint, from a freedom standpoint. And I hope all of you understand that the tweet that I did, let me bring it up. I think it went pretty viral everywhere. Let me see if I can bring it up. So I put out a tweet out there that went viral all over the world. Let me bring it up so everyone can see it, so you guys can appreciate that people are starting to understand the level of nonsense that's taking place in the world today. And by the way, this is because of a collusion of both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Both of these parties have been cheating on all of us, both of them. So you see right here, let me go over here. You'll see right here, and you can see Twitter constantly throttling me also. But right here, we put out this thing which said that, Dear Donald Trump, demand the ballot images in Michigan, the ballot images of the digital photos of every ballot that was scanned. This will provide you the evidence of what took place, okay? We have tonight, as I also tweeted out, issued, if the White House doesn't want to do it, the GOP doesn't want to do it, or we've issued, we said our movement for truth, freedom, and health just issued public record requests under FOIA for ballot images and software files to Secretaries of State of Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and et cetera. And irrespective of what anyone else does, our campaign, or meaning our movement for truth, freedom, and health is moving forward to uncover what's going on. As you know, we discovered in Massachusetts the nonsense that took place and how they manipulated the votes. But it's unfortunate that the talking heads, the grifters, the Tucker Carlsons, the CNNs, the Fox Newses have all sold you out. I don't care what Tucker Carlson talks about today or Sean Hannity. Okay, many of these people are against Trump in the beginning, but when they saw it going a certain way, they're going to get more views. Suddenly they're Trumpers, okay? And there's a lot of people who do this, but Trump was fundamentally anti-establishment. And you have to start using your brain a little bit to realize that anyone who's truly against the establishment, do you think they're going to have a show on Fox News forever? No way, okay? So these people are master grifters, and that's what they are. The unfortunate thing with President Trump, I think he's a very sincere person. Around him, he was surrounded by a bunch of, frankly, not so obvious establishment people, a bunch of rhinos. And in my view, as he built his movement, he should have brought in more outsiders. And what you're seeing right now is a result of that, because the loyalty should be to people who are bottoms up. And that's what our movement is about. But today, we'll come back to the election fraud issue. We filed a major lawsuit. We won a big part of it in federal court, and I presented myself. No lawyer in Massachusetts wanted to take it on, because they're all, frankly, I don't want to use a certain word, okay? But that's what they are. Scared. They're scared because they all have ties to the government here. We took it on. It was me against 3 lawyers. Fortunately, the judge was fair. He was appointed by Ronald Reagan, and we won. We forced in federal court, big win. All right. So I want to let everyone know, yes, the GOP sucks. Perfect. Let me put that up there. The GOP sucks. Okay. The GOP in Massachusetts, bunch of scumbags. They found a rhino doofus to run against me, and they stole the election. And anyone who thinks Trump was a Republican, you're out of your freaking mind. Stop being Republican or stop being Democrat. Become a human being and recognize that Trump was he made fun of Republicans, didn't he?
Absolutely.
He said they were stupid, and he made fun of Democrats. We need to let go of all this bullshit, and we need to get back to taking a systems approach to understanding. So today, in our center today, we ran a conference, okay, where we were taking our volunteers who came from the campaign, and now we're building our movement. It's beyond an election movement anymore. We're building a movement, and we're educating people on how to see the world from a systems approach, how to understand the interconnection between truth, freedom, and health, how to understand the not so obvious establishment, the scumbags like the Kennedys and the Bernie Sanders, as well as the GOP, Nikki Haley, complete not so obvious establishment, okay? And you cannot play with the not so obvious establishment. The lesser of 2 evils, bullshit. You're going to become a devil, or you're playing with the devil, and the devil's a lot smarter than you, or you are yourself are a devil. We need to build an independent movement. So what we're doing is on November 14th, to all of you who really want to get your brains trained in the right way and actually want to get a real education, I'm going to be teaching a direct live course. It's also online, the course, you can go take it. But our goal is to build truth, freedom, and health warriors now all over the world. Not just, we don't want followers, we want leaders. And as a part of that, we're making a special course available. Let me take you right here. So if you go to our website, let me share the screen here. If you go to the website here, vashiva.com, VA-Shiva, and you scroll down a little bit past here, you'll see that there's a blog post we've done which says, Dr. Shiva, what is to be done? Time to weaponize yourself with the ultimate education. So on November 14th, if you go to this site, which is right there, oops, wrong one. Let me go over here. All right. Let me go to the top of the website here. Sorry about that. It's over here. Clicked on the wrong one. So it's called Truth, Freedom, and Health Expands, November 14th. And you'll see here you can register for this course. It's a course I used to get paid a lot for. And we're giving almost an 80% reduction. It's not the money. It seems like people, if you don't charge them something, they don't value it, okay? So it's a very nominal thing, but it's a intensive course. You will learn, as we're talking about here, the systems dynamics of truth, freedom, and health, the power of a bottoms-up movement, and the not so obvious establishment. My intent is to train leaders so we don't get suckered in by the GOP, okay? Or the Democrats, or the Bernie Sanders, or the Kennedys, or the Tucker Carlsons, or the Hannitys. I'm sorry. If you like these guys, great. But you know what? They're not leaders. They're grifters. They're master grifters. All right? They're all controlled by the same master. And you saw this, that Fox News called it for Arizona before even the votes were in. And even Jesse Waters, okay, I was on a show. That guy said, well, Trump did a nice thing and it's over for him. They're all falling in line because they never were for us. They were basically, they're entertainers. They watch which way the wind blows. All right? So that's, let me see what else. That's what people need to understand. Susie Johansson said, I went to the training today. Susie was one of the people. She learned a lot. She comes from a diverse background, but everyone take advantage of that. Let me now jump right into, Jerry, do you want to say anything about what you enjoyed?
Yeah. So
you can look right in the camera there.
Yeah. So the training next week, it's a week from today. It's from 11 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the training goes into systems theory. And then Shiva ties it into the Eastern Indian medicine. And then he ties it into truth, freedom, and health. And it's very worthwhile moving forward that we'll be able to apply those tools to make change. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about people like working class people rising up and being able to go out and understand what's going on and make changes. And that's what we need to do. We can't just sit around and expect other people to do stuff for us, expect the government to take care of us. We're gonna have to go out there and change. And so it's well worth your time to understand it, and then we're gonna go out there and learn, teach, and do. That's what we're
learn, teach, and serve.
Yeah.
So our goal is to train all of you, the Truth, Freedom, and Health movement, to understand principles of systems. And these are physical engineering principles. Right now, you have a lot of people, one day they're following this way, another day they're following this way, and you can't have that. You need to be grounded in engineering principles, and you can understand politics from an engineering system standpoint. You can understand how to build a movement, and you can understand where the pitfalls are. There's an engineering and a science to this, and I'm here to teach you that and make you leaders, so please take advantage of it. So today we're going to talk about oral health and immune health. And why is this important? Well, the oral part of your body is a system. And the reason this is important is no one has talked about detailed about the fact that when you wear these masks, how is it affecting the system? Or for almost a half a decade now, my research group at the International Center for Integrative Systems, in collaboration with Cytosolve, has been doing a lot of research on understanding the mouth, the bacteria in the mouth, how you get things like periodontal disease, when you don't. And what we've discovered is something quite profound. And we're going to arm you guys with this knowledge. So you have to come to the November 11th symposium we're hosting on masks and oral health. And this scientific seminar is going to destroy the establishment, which is trying to tell us that masks don't do anything. We have clear evidence at the molecular systems level that these masks have significant detrimental effect. But it's a symposium. It'll be me, another couple scientists, some dentists who are going to be presenting with us, in fact, a cardiologist. So people should come to that. That's November 11th between 7 and 9 p.m. But as a prelude to that, I want to share with everyone a little bit about the interconnection between oral health and immune health, so you guys can actually start becoming a little more aware of where we're coming from. So let me, as a part of that, let me jump right in. If everyone's ready for it, let's go right into this. I don't think I need this. Okay, let's jump right into this. So again, many of you know my personal site is called VA Shiva, and you're welcome to go there. We have a lot of tools and capabilities. In fact, we're going to start putting some exclusive videos there. We're going to create a membership model so people can come there. They can get access to scientific knowledge, and then you guys can take that knowledge and take it up. But you guys should go check it out. But today's talk is on oral health and the immune system. If you go look a few days ago, I talked about the immune system, a detailed talk I did on that. But today's talk is really going to go in, and we're going to take these concepts and we're going to dive deeper. But again, if you go to the Shiva website, you'll see sort of my background in creating the first email system when I was 14 years old. Yes, I did create the email system regardless of what the racists at Wikipedia say. I was the first one. They are racist. They're freaking right. They're the biggest racists, and they're basically funded by a lot of people who don't have, they basically are creating fake history, okay? Yeah. Everything they do, they even say that it's not based on science. But anyway, I created the first email system. As you know, we ran, and we'll still continue our political efforts. You'll hear more about it. But one of the important things I'm proud of is, as a part of my PhD work at MIT, I created a system, a technology, so you could use this system, could actually understand things at the molecular level. It's a scientific source of truth. And as I've talked about before, this was originally created because I thought, wow, the way that pharmaceutical drugs work, where they kill a lot of animals, I could eliminate the need for animal testing. If you look at the way they create a drug, they start with a compound that they discover in the lab, they test it in a test tube. Let's say you throw in some cancer cells, and if you think this works, then they march down a path where they then test it on animals, kill a lot of animals, which I don't think is necessary, frankly, and then they test it on humans. Well, this is about $5 billion, upwards of $5 billion, 13 years. And frankly, this whole process is not working. The more and more they spend on R&D, the less and less new drugs they're discovering and getting approved. So this led to a field about in 2003 called systems biology. And systems biology felt that maybe there's a better way to do something, but it came out in some ways of an irony of the Genome Project in the early 1900s. We thought us humans had about 100,000 genes. We knew a worm only had 20,000 genes. We thought the more genes, the more complexity. The interesting thing was when the Genome Project ended, we only have the same number of genes as a worm, right? We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
So this is the problem that medical doctors have. They don't take a systems approach. They just think more complexity, more parts. But we in systems science know that complexity is a function of the interconnections. So this was a big wake-up call to biologists, and this led to a field called systems biology, which said if you want to understand the whole, it's not just about the genes, it's interconnecting all these things. And in 2003, there was this big concept was, could you take a systems approach to modeling the whole cell? Because we need to go outside of the genes. We need to understand all the chemical reactions in the human cell, interconnect them, and by doing that, we could literally understand biology on the computer, computational biology. And so here's a molecular pathway. If these can be converted to models, now imagine I could put all those molecular pathways together, and that's what I did with CytoSolve. CytoSolve is a very powerful technology, which is a major breakthrough for my PhD work, which I was able to create a new way to use the computer to mathematically model diseases, molecular reactions of cancer. And using this, we could figure out how combinations of medicines work long before we went and killed animals.
Design of experiments is what I learned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's called Enabling Truth, Freedom, and Health. Okay. And we published a paper on it. But fundamentally, CytoSolve allows us to take a field, let's say oral health, find all the papers in it, extract out the molecular pathways like these things here. Okay. These ball and stick diagrams, interconnect them back together, and then build a holistic understanding of, let's say, periodontal disease, which I'm going to talk about. And that's what CytoSolve allows us to do. But fundamentally, if we build airplanes on the computer, CytoSolve helps us to discover medicines on the computer, okay? And by way of example, if you look at when I grew up in India, you'd have these yogis mixing medicines together. And if you ask them, well, what's the system you're using? How are you doing that? They do a lot of hand waving. With CytoSolve, if you take something like the phenomenon of inflammation, we're able to model all these molecular reactions by looking at all the research. Curcumin is a herb that shows up in the Indian tradition from turmeric. It's the active ingredient. I'm able to actually mathematically understand how curcumin reduces inflammation. And let's say I want to combine it with resveratrol, which is the active ingredient in red grapes. I can do the same thing here. I can combine them together, and then I can run digital experiments. So the last column here is a molecule which represents inflammation. I don't give any curcumin, any resveratrol. I'm modeling this in the molecular reaction here, okay? And then I can see what happens if I just add curcumin. See that Jerry drops down.
Yeah.
If I just give resveratrol, it drops from 0.15 to 0.06. But look at this cool thing. What happens when you combine 3 units of curcumin to 2 units? You get even a better effect.
Yes.
That's called a synergistic response. The sum of the parts is greater than the whole. So anyway, we talked about that yesterday. And one of the important things I talked about is we've used CytoSolve to actually look at the entire immune system. Okay? So when you look at the entire immune system, what you find is that the entire immune system is based on the following. The entire immune system, the old model of the immune system was you had the innate immune system, and you can go see the video I did yesterday on this, which is the part of your body which is in your eyes, your nose, your throat. The first time someone sneezes on you, that's the innate immune system. The adaptive immune system is deep within your cellular structure, T cells and B cells, which creates antibodies. So in the old understanding of the immune system, which is what Fauci uses, they just think there's these 2 boxes. Well, my research with CytoSolve has shown it's much more complex. It's actually the innate, the adaptive, you have the interferon, the microbiome, the virome, your brain, the gut-brain axis. It's at least 5 to 6 other systems. And so what this revealed is that each one of us has a unique needs. We're all very different. So trying to say everyone should get a whole bunch of vaccines, everyone should be wearing masks, everyone should be social distance, this doesn't make sense because each one of our systems is unique, okay? And by the way, we shared this with the Trump administration. For whatever reason, we shared with them, you don't need to do the lockdown, okay? Because if anything, the really sick people, isolate them. But the rest of us should have been taking vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin C, and we should have been back to work. There was no reason for these lockdowns. It was one of the worst decisions that was ever made, okay? But anyway, we talked about that yesterday. So you can go look at that. But what I want to talk about today is with this understanding of the immune system, let's talk about oral health. So one of the things you need to understand is the mouth is quite an amazing thing. We all use it for talking. We use it for eating. Some of us 2-3 times a day, maybe once. But so much stuff is in the mouth. And remember, when we put on these masks, what are we covering? The mouth. Okay? And again, I'm not going to talk about the symposium, which is going to be November 11th. You'll see the graphic and everything. Please sign up for it, because I think last time we did something on vaccines, over, I think 1,000 people showed up. So we have a limited number of accounts on Zoom, about 1,000. So please look out for this. But the oral health, when you look at your mouth, you have the upper lip, you have the gums, you have the palate, the hard palate, you have the soft palate in the back, you have the uvula, which is that what some people call a little tongue back there. You have your overall tongue, you have the gums, okay, and you have your lower lip. So oral health emerges between the tissue. So remember, tissues are composed of cells, right? And tissues are in an organ. So if the mouth is an organ, you have the oral tissue, and that's composed of bone, right? If you were to cut open the gums here, you'd see bone. We have the soft tissue, which includes the gums, the cheek, the tongue. There's a bunch of glands here called salivary glands. And then you have the oral microbiome. We're going to talk about this. We've done, Cytosolve and the International Center have done a lot of work to understand with the Forsyth Institute and a bunch of other people, the oral microbiome. It turns out you have about 700 bacteria, 700 distinct bacteria, as we know today, Jerry, in the mouth, okay? So the mouth is not just a bunch of teeth and tongues, it's all of these things and the oral microbiome. What is a microbiome? The microbiome, just to be clear, is bacteria. Our body overall is made up of 6 trillion cells, human cells. We have about 60 trillion bacteria in the mouth, in the gut, the back of the throat, all of our bodies. And then we have about 380 trillion viruses. We're a walking germ factory. And the issue is the right type of germs actually are beneficial bacteria. Under certain conditions, you get bad bacteria. And those bad bacteria cause periodontal disease, tooth decay, etc. All right? And as we'll be discussing in the conference, what happens when you put on a mask? No one's really talked about this. Our organization is the first to really do deep dive research, interconnecting at the molecular systems level, which we'll be sharing on November 11th on Wednesday, right? Wednesday. 7 to 9. So when you go back to this, what you see here, so here's the mouth. And one of the things you see is oral health is a key driver for overall health, right? So when you look at heart disease, if you talk to cardiologists, you should really be careful when you go for these deep cleanings that they do, or when you get root canals. All of that bacteria goes into your bloodstream, and it affects cardiovascular health. One of the guys we know, he's had all sorts of heart issues. And he said it took him many years to realize, oh my God, my teeth were so bad. And not one cardiologist told him to, fix his oral health. But we now know there's a huge risk, connection between poor oral hygiene and the risk of heart disease. By 70%, inflammation caused by periodontal disease may be responsible for this association. So you got to take care of the mouth. Diabetes, severe periodontal disease, can increase blood sugar, right? Contributing to increased periods of time when the body functions with a high blood sugar. Osteoporosis, it's very hard for people to understand this, but this may lead to tooth loss because of the density of the bone. So you have, osteoporosis issues in the mouth where you have bone loss. Hypertension, gum disease worsens hypertension. A lot of people don't, high blood pressure, okay? And interferes with medications. Anxiety, the stress from the mouth affects your immune system. COPD, if you don't have proper oral health, you have breathing problems. Preterm and low birth weight, women with gum disease are 7 times, listen to this, 7 times more likely to deliver preterm baby with low birth weight due to inflammatory mediators. 7 times more likely. And then you go to glaucoma. Think about it. Your mouth is right near where your eyeballs are, okay? Oral infection can trigger a series of events where the bacteria from an inflamed tooth can spread to the optic nerve. Pancreatic cancer, a lot of people don't think about this, okay? People with high levels of specific oral bacterium are 59% more likely to get this type of cancer. Arthritis, gum disease is linked to arthritis due to inflammatory markers causing inflammatory response associated with arthritis. So what am I sharing here? What I'm trying to say is that what goes on in the mouth affects other systems. This is why the dentist is just looking in your mouth, but we systems engineers, biological engineers, we see the body as a whole system, right? Same with the voting systems, right? It's a whole system. You can't just be looking over here. You got to look at the whole system. You find out in the voting systems, we don't have voter IDs. We don't have receipts. We have a weighted race. So the whole system has no integrity. But if your mouth loses its integrity, you're going to create systemically, you're opening yourself up to all of these things. So we really need to think about, you're putting a mask on. What does that do to your mouth integrity? Again, we're going to be talking about that, okay? The next thing is common oral diseases. There's, 4 types. You have teeth diseases, tooth decay, cavities, teeth sensitivity. Then you have gum diseases, which is gingivitis, which is inflammation of the gums, periodontitis, which is chronic inflammation of the gums, oral cancer, and noma, which is known as ulcer. So these are the different kinds of things that goes on in your mouth. Teeth diseases, the gum diseases, the oral cancers, and the noma, which are the ulcers. All right? Let me see if there's any questions people have. Each cell in our body has to have a minimum voltage to be healthy. Probably true, okay? Probably true. So let's go back here. So now, if you look at the oral microbiome, what is the microbiome? The microbiome is really, there's a whole ecosystem. You have a bunch of family of bacteria living in your mouth, okay? You have a whole jungle, and that jungle of bacteria is called the microbiome, okay? The microbiome. So if you look at the microbiome here, what you'll see here is that there's a whole diversity of microbiome. And I'm giving in the colors here. So you have, let me make it a little bit bigger. You have Leptotrichia, Streptococcus, you have a whole range of bacteria here, all these different bacteria in your mouth. And the oral microbiome is crucial in maintaining oral health. You want to have the right kind of bacteria. And so if you have the right kind of bacteria in your mouth, you also take care of your entire body. And there's a diversity of oral microbiome. It's not just bacteria. It includes fungi. You actually have fungus in your mouth. You have viruses, you have archaea, you have protozoa. And the function of the beneficial microbiome is to protect your oral cavity, and it's to prevent disease development. One of the things we'll be sharing for those people who join our community is we're actually going to be sharing with you some of the powerful ways you can actually protect your mouth by what's called pulling with oil, properly washing your mouth. There's certain things like H2O2, peroxide. There's some very good herbs also which protect you. In traditional cultures, you took a lot of care to do water pulling. After you ate, you really gargled your mouth well. Most cultures would always do that. Coconut oil and baking soda, very, very valuable. Our Cytosolve technology is helping us figure out what are the right combinations that are right for you. But anyway, so you can see here, there's a lot of different bacteria, diversity within the mouth, different places, you have different kinds of bacteria, and you have the microbiome varies between location, okay? And now the role of the oral microbiome in disease is quite vast. Look, there's a growing theory that even Alzheimer's, many of these brain diseases come from periodontal disease. People have talked about Lyme disease, right? It's actually a spirochete which ends up in your brain. Well, if you have the wrong type of bacteria, spirochetes, they can go right up into your brain. So there's a growing relationship between your mouth and brain health, okay? So, for example, these spirochetes and Porphyromonas gingivalis. If your mouth as above, so below, you don't take care of your mouth, you're affecting your brain health. So in periodontal disease, right? It's a red complex. You start getting these, you start bleeding, you have caries, you have streptococcus, but periodontal disease is affected by oral microbiome. Diabetes, as we talked about, pancreatic cancer. And again, these are the bacteria that they're finding show up in high levels in diabetes. So there's a correlation between these bacteria and diabetes. Rheumatoid arthritis, a whole bunch of other bacteria. Obviously, P. gingivitis shows up here. You notice P. gingivitis shows up here, doesn't show up here. But all of these different kinds of bacteria, people are finding shows up in the mouth. Those people have these bacteria in the mouth are ending up with rheumatoid arthritis, right? You won't hear MDs talking about this, but you will hear a systems person talking about this. Esophageal cancer, a whole bunch of other microbiome here, and colorectal cancer. Even with something like cystic fibrosis, huge correlation between these high and low levels of these bacteria, and obviously by now, cardiovascular disease. So you're noticing in each of these diseases, there's different colonies of bacteria in the mouth, which are correlated to that. All right. So I hope that's clear. This is something very, very serious to take. Oral health literally is connected through the pathways of immune health to Alzheimer's, cardiovascular, cystic fibrosis, esophageal cancer, colorectal cancer, rheumatoid arthritis, pancreatic cancer, diabetes, caries, periodontitis. Bottom line, how you take care of your mouth affects your entire system. You got to take this seriously. Now, in the oral immune system, so if you look, close into your oral immune system, you'll find out that there's a thing called a bacterial biofilm. And by the way, people who do high carbohydrate diets, people are finding your body creates this biofilm. The biofilm is almost a shield which covers bacteria. In the case of Lyme disease, they found something fascinating, different topic here, that people have to, when they get Lyme disease, they go on antibiotics and it doesn't help. It stops and it goes away. But people have found out if you can eliminate the biofilm, which by the way can be done with the ketogenic diet, you burn up that biofilm and then you can go give the chemicals like neem or antibiotics go destroy the bacteria. But if you don't get rid of the biofilm, as I'm showing here, all the crap hides underneath it, okay? So you notice under the biofilm here, you have neutrophils, right? So the immune cell type, I'm sorry, bacteria, but the immune cell types are neutrophils, T cells from your adaptive system, B cells, monocytes, macrophages, dendritic cells. And the oral microbiome is involved in differentiation and maturation of the immune cells. So what does that mean? That means if you have the right bacteria, your body is going to create the right immune system. Right bacteria leads to the strong immune system. Wrong bacteria, you weaken your immune system, okay? So oral microbiome is involved in the right set of immune cells. It maintains the immune system. And then there's a balance that the oral microbiome maintains between pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory processes in the cell. I can't overemphasize this. If you're getting a lot of inflammation, a lot of bleeding and periodontitis, it's fundamentally, the notion here is you have an imbalance of the microbiome. You got too many bad bacteria or not enough healthy bacteria. So the issue becomes, how do you maintain homeostasis of the right microbiome? Well, as we'll show in our conference coming up, if you're wearing a mask for 8 hours and you're jogging in 98 degrees temperature increases around your mouth, you get dry. Guess what else you do? You change the pH, the acidity of your mouth. Well, we have data now to show that when you change all those things, guess what you do? You change the microbiome. Yeah. Different bacteria grow. And now on top of it, we're doing this to young kids. It's basically a crime. Young kids, when they're young, their microbiome is just developing. It needs to be exposed. So these masks, as we're going to talk about at our symposium, and I invite all the scientists, all your friends that you know who are naysayers, invite them to this. Yes. And we don't even know if these masks really frankly help with anything. If you wear the cloth mask, 97% of your stuff goes out anyway. You wear the medical mask, 50%. You want to wear the N95 all day, you're going to get headaches and migraines. But even if you wear these masks, I don't see any animal in nature wearing masks. Have you? I haven't seen it.
Raccoon.
A raccoon. Well, raccoon has a mask. That's true. That's pretty good. Jerry's from Texas. They've got a lot of raccoons down there. Okay, but here's the bottom line. That whatever I'm saying, we're going to back it up. Tomorrow I'm going to do another set on periodontal disease. But our goal at our Truth, Freedom, and Health movement is to arm you with knowledge so you can go fight fake news with real science. And the science I'm going to share with you over the next few days is based on a molecular systems understanding. It's based on a technology that I developed at MIT, so the establishment can't attack me. I'm sorry, they gave me all their degrees, okay? I'm a product of them, but I'm pointing my weapons back at them, all right? So that's number one. And so you see the oral microbiome is involved in, again, supporting your immune system, maintenance of it, and the balance between the pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory process. So in summary, I know it's late here, so I don't want to take too long. Oral health plays a key role in many, many diseases, including Alzheimer's, diabetes, autoimmune, cardiovascular. Oops, I forgot to share this. Let me just bring this slide. Okay. So so basically, you can't look, the dentist can't be just looking at your teeth and forgetting the diabetic issues or the cardiovascular issues. But the problem with dentistry is that's what these guys do. The second issue is oral cavity has a diverse microbiome that can be specific to its location in the oral cavity. What you have in the tongue microbiome, is different than what you have in the gums versus what you have in the palate. These different bacteria have a particular location where they like to hang out. The next thing is dysbiosis, which means you're shifting the oral microbiome's natural state, okay? Dysbiosis, dys means against the natural state, can cause several oral diseases including gingivitis and periodontitis. And the oral cavity has a robust immune system, and the oral microbiota trains the immune systems and helps it mature. This last bullet is extremely important for young people. So think about it. As you're maturing as a child, you're being exposed to different things, and your microbiome is actually being trained. So if you put a mask on for a young child, what are we doing to that child? We have data now to show at the molecular systems level, you're compromising that child's immune health. So there you go, okay? So in closing, what I want to emphasize to everyone is it's about time that all of you start taking a systems approach to everything. Political systems, voting systems, your immune system. And remember, in March, I was the first guy to expose Fauci. Why was I able to do that? Because of my training as an engineer, as a biological engineer, understanding systems. We were the first people to really expose the voting systems. Why? Because I have a training in systems. I applied it to the computing systems. But once you get an understanding of systems, you can apply, it's the science of everything. I have a book up there which says the science of everything. And it really is the science of everything. And my duty here is to teach you that. I was very fortunate to get this education. So I can't overemphasize. I encourage all of you, when you get time today, to take a few minutes to go to vashiva.com, where I'm making a very special offer, because what I see in the world right now is a lot of people being made stupider by the establishment. And unfortunately, the American people, in my view, are the kindest, nicest people. But over the years, they're being made dumber and dumber and dumber. Okay? Dumb and dumber. Okay? Sorry, I have to say this. That's what's going on. We think the parties are fighting for us. The lesser of two evils. These are all bullshit concepts. The lesser of two evils means you want to be a devil. That's what it means. You can't play with the devil. Trump should never have let Nikki Haley around him. She's the devil. Nikki Haley is the flip side of Kamala Harris. She is. Two Indians, in fact. Two fake Indians. All right? So my point is, you have to take a systems approach. And what I want to tell you is I hope all of you take advantage of this very, very generous thing that we're doing for everyone. If you go to vashiva.com, which is my personal website, and we're building a whole model here. We're going to start putting educational plans together. But if you scroll down right below, you'll see this fourth blog post called Truth, Freedom, and Health Expands. And if you click on it right here, you'll see that you can register for this wonderful discussion we're doing on Saturday, November 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can come to our physical center in Cambridge, or you can join us online at Zoom, but please take advantage of this. If you do not have a systems approach to politics, to your health, you're basically screwed. I can't say it in any other scientific way, but that you're setting yourselves up for failure. And it's time that people, wherever you are, start becoming truth, freedom, and health warriors, and you have to take a systems approach. That's it. Jerry, got anything else to say? People, did I forget anything?
Nope.
Yeah. All right, we got some questions here. Why do you think they are a fake Indian? Why do I think they're a fake Indian? Oh, good question. Okay. A fake Indian is someone who's out of integrity. Remember, I ran a campaign, Elizabeth Warren, only the real Indian can defeat the fake Indian. It's an idiom that I created, which means people are out of integrity. Kamala Harris knows nothing about science. She wants to have mask mandates. Nikki Haley is fundamentally deep state. She wants to go blow up people. She wants to put this country into starting wars. All right? Fake Indian, okay? They're not in integrity. Both of these people hated the anti-establishment movement of Trump. And now they're all back in power. They're going to be pretty vile, okay? Great. Thank you for information. Awesome info. Exactly. Look, all of you guys, when I'm doing these lives, I encourage you to invite your friends, do watch parties, because you're not going to get this information anywhere else. If you notice, every time I've worked with you guys, educated, we've always been at least 1 to 2 years ahead. We talked about the immune system right on the money. We didn't talk about masks. We talked about one size does not fit all. And it's time we all wake up. Forced vaccination is on its way. More lockdowns are coming. They want to have everyone on mask mandates. And the reason we're here is because all of you followed misleaders. And my job is to train you, misleaders like Robert F. Kennedy. He's a complete scumbag. He says he's against for medical freedom, but he's a pro-vaccine slut, okay? He is.
Yes.
He's the one who talks about safe vaccines. And whenever you hear someone talking about safe vaccines, safe banking, safe social media, it's an oxymoron. They want to see regulations from the government to even become more government regulations. Same thing on the right. I mean, Tucker Carlson was supposed to put me on, and he got scared because someone did a hit job on me. So Tucker, Hannity, not so obvious establishment, okay? They may talk a good thing here or there, but I'm sorry. He wouldn't be on TV if he really came out and really exposed the truth.
They're just in it for the ratings.
They're in it for the ratings, and they may even say some good things from time to time if it gets some ratings, all right? That's what they don't have principles. The only people who have principles are working people like Jerry, me, and you guys out there. Those who still work, those who know what reality means. And that's why we have to build a movement bottoms up. You cannot trust the parties. You cannot trust the Bernie Sanders. You cannot trust the so-called talk show hosts on the left or the right. The people you can trust are people who actually have a job. Okay? Why are you trusting some fool who's grifting all day, typing tweets all day? Does he really have a job? And I guarantee you doesn't. He's making money from grifting. He's making money from tweeting all day. It's not a job. I'm sorry. A job is where you're actually doing productive work. You're serving customers. You're producing something. If you happen to do social media as a hobby to help people, great. But in my view, perhaps it's old school. We got to go back to people who innovate and take a systems approach. So it's time we all start learning truth. Otherwise, we're going to end up in a dark area. And remember, the first 20 years of any century, as a famous anthropologist discovered, is, and we're right at that point, coming December. In those first 20 years, the trajectory of that entire century is determined whether it goes to a golden age of enlightenment or a dark age. And right now, I'm telling you, we're very much on the precipice of a dark age. If all of you don't, on your own, start becoming leaders. I don't frankly want followers. I want you guys to learn to lead, and I'm going to serve and do my duty to educate you on the science of systems. And once you understand that, you frankly can become leaders in your own communities and educate others. And I put together the curriculum to do that. So it's up to you, because for the last 50 years, we've been sleeping. Forget the politicians. We've been sleeping. We've elected scumbags as politicians. Our politicians reflect our state of consciousness. That's what we need to think about. All right, everyone. Someone said, I really wish you'd won a place in the Senate. Well, do you think they want one of us there? Nah. Okay, what we did discover was when they try to play all their games, we're the ones who discovered election fraud at a deep level with the ballot images. We're the ones who are bringing it out. And now we're galvanizing you to realize we need to go neighbor to neighbor and build a bottoms-up movement. The electioneering doesn't mean a movement. We got to build a movement, not a movement from people like Bernie Sanders who just use the word movement. I'm talking about the movement that we're building here for truth, freedom, and health. Can you help me? I'll come. Great. Everyone is invited, by the way. Systems, exactly. You are the light. We're all the light. We just have to wake up and take away the lampshade. Okay. Got a lot of lampshades. Yeah, Paul Ryan, total deep state bastard. Okay. By the way, he's an obvious deep state bastard. Okay. They're all part of it. Don't put Tucker down. Okay, so let's talk about Tucker, okay? Tucker didn't do that to you. Yes, he did, okay? I was scheduled to be on Tucker Carlson's show. A guy called Howie Carr did a hit job on me. He put up my mugshot of a case that was outright dismissed. Tucker said, oh my God, she was bad property, now I can't have him on. And the next week, Tucker talked about how he was held up by a woman who tried to say he did something he never did. He protected himself, but didn't put his butt out there. That's Tucker Carlson. He watches his ratings. He doesn't put his ass out on the line. He's a little preppy boy. I'm sorry. That's the way I see him. I came from the streets, from nothing. Tucker Carlson doesn't take risks. And if you go back, Tucker wasn't supporting Trump. Neither was Hannity from the beginning. Now they're supporting it. And just watch how they behave as time goes on. All right? Just watch how they behave. Do not be fooled by media personalities. You should, Didi, you should trust yourself. You got to stop trusting these talking heads. They don't build movements. You and I, people like Jerry, people like our campaign in Massachusetts, who put out 1.5 million of these cards. Who was the one who made their whole campaign about election fraud? Look at that, us, because we saw this coming. One of the most important things in life is who you choose to lead you, who you choose to get your wisdom from. And that difference can mean the difference between life and death. Are you going to start listening to people who've never studied systems, who've never built anything, who don't even know what a piece of software is? That's why we're in this condition. These voting systems are completely out of integrity. So we can see, are you going to listen to people who tell you to wear masks all day? Are you going to listen to a Fauci who built his entire career on a nonsensical theory about germ theory? Or are you going to listen to someone who spent his whole life studying health? I would never ever claim that I knew how to, shoot a basketball in a layup. I can reason, I would never claim to tell Michael Jordan what to do. But we have people on these social media platforms who think they know how to do all these things and are advising people, including people like Scott Adams. Okay? When I brought out vitamin D, Scott Adams made fun of me. That's Scott Adams, so-called thinker. So it's time you choose wisely who you get your advice from, and look to people who've put in the time and done the work. All right? Yeah, so Tucker, I'll show you emails I've sent to Tucker. I'm sorry, I'm not impressed by him. Okay? What else? Your site is not active. I'm not sure what they're talking about. How can we get out of the vaccine if it's mandated? Marianne, you're asking a great question. The only way to get out of this is we have to build a movement. Your leaders have all sold you out. If Robert Kennedy did so well for the last 20 years, why are we at forced vaccination? Because he sucks. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He wants to give you a safe vaccine.
He wants to give you a safe vaccine, okay? I'm here to tell you we need to build a movement, and I have a way to teach you how to do it. And those who want to learn the methodologies and the techniques, the knowledge is here. It's time you learn. Someone said, wouldn't be surprised if Biden dips out halfway into Gulf. Someone says, can't register for your courses. Why not? Let's see. Is that not true? Hold on. If you go here, let's see. Email me if you have any problems at vashiva@vashiva.com. And if you're any problems, let me know. vashiva@vashiva.com. How to avoid forced vaccinations. Well, forced vaccinations are coming, and the only way to avoid them is to build a bottoms-up movement. We may even have to have a serious fight on this, but it's not going to happen by outsourcing it to somebody else. You have to get educated, and we have to realize that we have to build a mass movement. That's the only way to do this. Okay. All right, everyone. It is, what time is it?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It is 10:57. And if there are no other questions, we'll see. We'll be, I saw Bill Gates. There you go. There you go. Bill Gates already on Fox News. There you go. Okay. There you go. There you go. Remember, the Trump movement was a glimpse of what happens when people rise up. The problem with the Trump movement, it didn't have any political theory. Okay. So we had a lot of passion, but we had no political theory. So it's time. Your site is inaccessible. Is that what people are saying? vashiva.com is inaccessible. I'm at it, guys. The site is up. vashiva.com. Victor Alpha, I'll post it up again. vashiva.com. There. And in closing, what I want to let everyone know is this. I have a very old, wise friend of mine, and he said, many years ago, about 15, 20 years ago, he started an organization called Wake Up America. And what John was telling me was, he goes, look, the issue is not our politicians, it's our people. It's us. It's us. We've been sleeping. We have not been active citizens. People have been pussyfooting around, not willing to risk. You don't get freedom without a price. People shed their blood to get it. Not every country has this. And little by little by little, because we've been fat, dumb, and happy, willing to be bribed. A lot of these small business owners, oh yeah, please wear a mask. My business could get shut down. Why aren't they uniting? Where's their balls? Why are they being so cowardly? Are they unwilling to risk their own businesses? Until people are willing to go like a steamroller against our enemy and risk themselves, we're not going to have any change. You're going to lose freedom, freedom, freedom. It's going to become like China or some third world countries. And that's where we're headed towards. The election systems have no integrity. We're all going to be forced to wear masks, forced vaccinations, lockdowns. And the reason we got here is because you and others did not stand up. We forgot what it means to be American. We've been sold out. We haven't had good leaders. And you cannot get anything for nothing. All good things in life require some sacrifice. And we haven't been willing to do that. We haven't been willing to say, you know what? Shut my business down. Come on. Try file charges on me. And then one person does it, another person does it. But if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to get anything in life. And that's where we're at. People have been willing to bend over and be attacked and abused and abused and abused. And we've been selecting the wrong leaders. Hollywood, Kennedys, right? People who look a certain way. Ooh, they look nice. I must vote for them. Bad decisions. Bad decisions. Jennifer Aniston, she must know what she's talking about, right?
Brad Pitt.
Their Botox must really help me. All their hair plugs. Sean Penn. We got to start looking at people's character and where they come from. And that's what needs to happen. Otherwise, we're going to lose all of our freedoms and we're going to enter the dark ages.
Time to get off the couch. No more couch potatoes.
Exactly. So the campaign we're doing is giving you an opportunity, an intellectual framework, an active framework, and knowledge. So it's up to you. Join Truth, Freedom, and Health movement. Get off your butt and fight. Otherwise, we're going to lose every liberty, all the truth, and all the freedom that a lot of people shed their blood for to get. Now, maybe I have a different perspective because I am an immigrant. I came from India, in India, which was India of a caste system. And the American people are the kindest, nicest people in the world. I can tell you this. I've traveled to many, many countries. However, that kindness and that innocence has become a naivete. And that naivete is destroying this country. People better rise up and wake up and get smart, or otherwise we're going to lose it. We're going to lose it big. Thank you, everyone. Be the light. You better get up and fight. Thank you.